All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're in it, baby. We're in it to win it. But there's one hand on the land by the nightstand, one that says don't cuss and don't fight. Let the battle turn you into a different man. Well, damn if I don't do it every Friday night. That's a little Morgan Wallen for you, my rendition of old Wally Berg. It's CMA Fest weekend down here in Nashville, so everybody is amped, jacked beyond belief. And I'm honestly still recovering from a weekend in Nashville with the boys. Deano and company were down here in Nashville for his bachelor party last weekend, and let me tell you, your boy don't have the sea legs that he once used to, okay? I'm getting a call from a Tennessee number right now. I'm going to hit ignore because we're doing a podcast. Yeah, Dean and the boys came down last weekend. It was a blast, to say the least. And we did a lot of things. We went out on Broadway. Obviously, you know, you come down to Nashville, you got to put your cowboy hat on, your boots on. You got to put your belt buckle on, tuck your shirt in so you can see it. And then you got to go down onto Broadway and you got to act like you're a cowgirl. That's what you do here when you come here. That's what all the people do here when they come here. So that's what we did for a night. For Friday night, we did that. We went down there. We had some drinks. We went on some rooftops. We met some people. We mingled. We danced a little bit. Boys dancing. You know, it was kind of more of just like a bumping the knees type thing. You know, just bobbing the knees, swinging the hips around. You got a beer in your hand. You just give somebody the nod. Like, yeah, man, feeling this song too. Sick. And then Saturday, we had a boat rent, a double-decker pontoon, 2 slides coming out the back. It was awesome. Went on to Percy Priest, jumped off some cliffs. Actually, Deano and our buddy Paul jumped off a couple cliffs. Everybody else pretty much bitched out. But, hey, they're cliffs. Your boy doesn't like heights. I'm not jumping off heights because I don't like heights. These guys, daredevils, they went up there, they jumped off the cliff. Everybody lived, we're all good. And then we went to, there's like this cove on Percy Priest Lake, and boats anchor up, party all day long. It was a blast. We had a freaking blast. Saturday was one of the better days that I've had in a long time, especially with the boys. And we had footballs. We had one of them Nerf whistlers. You guys remember them Nerf whistlers? The Nerf friggin' whistler. The farther and harder you throw it, the louder that motherfucker whistles. We had one of them bad boys. And so we start pumping the whistler around boat to boat. We're throwing this thing 150 yards across this friggin' across the damn, you know, where everybody anchored and shit, across the cove. I already said it. Why couldn't I say it again? Across the cove. That's what we did. We freaking whipped the whistler across the cove, and people were loving it. We brought the whistler to the party, and we ignited the party. We had guys throwing it. We had girls throwing it. We were throwing it at people that weren't looking. It was fantastic. Knocking beer out of people's hands. What is more fun than that? And it's a whistler. It's a Nerf football. It ain't going to hurt you. Just keep tossing it. We did. We tossed it. We tossed the whistler all freaking day. There was a couple times where the whistler went MIA. We didn't know where the whistler was. It was on another boat. It was hanging out with other people. And then all of a sudden, we heard the whistle. And it would come soaring over our boat. I mean, how fun is that? It's like being kids, only you're grown-ups. And you're on the water, on a boat. I'm on a boat. I mean, you want to talk about fun, but the whistler got lost this one time, and we see it. It's got to be a couple 100 yards away, up against the shore, rocks. There's all these rocks over by the shore. And the Whistler, you could just see it. Waves are coming in and racking this thing up against the freaking side, up against the rocks. It's in the bushes, up against the rocks. The Whistler, we weren't paying attention to the Whistler long enough. Somebody chucked this thing, and it must have went over the boat, the destination boat, the target boat. It must have went over that boat, and it landed in the water. Nobody swam and got it. At one point, I swam like 165 yards through the water, past other boats, just to recover the Whistler, because it was causing so much fun. But anyway, you know, the Whistler's up against these rocks, just getting all sorts of mangled, probably going to get eaten by a freaking fucking snake, or, you know, one of those water moccasins or something that comes slithering out of the water, out of the rocks. And we thought we lost her. We thought it was done. The fun was over. We thought the Whistler was MIA, gone. R.I.P. Whistler. And then some strange man came along. Some stranger from another boat. Some guy who definitely had been enjoying the Whistler as well. He was enjoying the Whistler, and he saw the Whistler getting rammed up against these rocks. And he said to himself, the good Samaritan that he is, he said to himself, I'm going to go rescue the Whistler. And this kid, he went over there and he did it. He got the Whistler, and then fun was had by all for hours again. What a great day. What a great, fantastic day. So after we went on the boat, you know, you would think at that point everybody's pretty winded, but we weren't winded. You know why? Because we had waters. We were supplementing. We were supplementing the alcoholic intake with waters because it was so hot out. We were being smart. We were hydrating ourselves with electrolytes and waters. And also, Uncle Jay came down. You know, he only lives like an hour and 15, 20 minutes north of Nashville. And he came down to surprise Deano and the boys, and he was going to captain the ship. He was going to drive the pontoon, the double-slided pontoon that now we're going to call the Whistler, naturally speaking. But that was I don't want it to get confused with the actual Whistler, the football Whistler. Anyway, Uncle Jay came down and he brought a bunch of Italian meats, salted meats with cheese, some peppers. I mean, loaves of bread. It looked like a damn Italian import store in our boat. Just the way we like it, baby. Paisanos for life. And all of a sudden, you know, it's everybody's kind of getting a little tired. And Uncle Jay whips out the cooler and he says, "Hey guys, I got the meats." And we all had sandwiches. On the boat, on the water, while we're throwing the Whistler. I got a Whistler in one hand. I got a Capo-Cola in the other. With peppers on it that are lighting my freaking nasal passages on fire. And I'm loving every single minute of it. All while the sun is torching the bald spot on the back of my dome. What a day, I'll tell you. Freaking fantastic day. And then we came back and we had an Airbnb. And we came back to the Airbnb. Our Airbnb's got a little game room in the basement, in the basement garage area. So we got skee ball, we got foosball table, we got some air hockey, and we got a shuffleboard. So you know the boys, we're all competitive. We're all alphas. At least we think we are, so we're chest bumping a little bit. We got a couple of drinks in the system, so we're feeling extra confident at this point. It's only like 5 or 6 in the evening. And so we start playing some games and we start chirping at each other. And the fun just continued. And then we went downtown again. We went to Broadway. We all went inside. We showered, but we weren't showering together. We just showered, all individually. Individual showers we is what we took. And then we all got, we got our nice stuff on. We looked good. Like as a group, we looked good. I will say that. We looked good. Some of us had cowboy boots on. Some of us had cowboy hats on. And we went back downtown, down to Broadway. And one thing led to another. And all of a sudden it's 2:30 in the morning and I'm coming home. And I don't come home at 2:30 in the morning in this stage of my stages. I don't do that. I don't come home at 2:30 in the morning anymore. That's not what I do. But I did it. And then Sunday was a wash. Sunday the boys, some of them flew back home. Some of them drove, God bless. And I just came back to the apartment and I was just hanging. Because I was wounded. I'm not going to lie. I was wounded from what happened over the weekend. And that's okay. But one of the best decisions I made all weekend was Sunday. I was wounded. I was hurting. And we had a Cane's open up right down the street, Raising Cane's. If you haven't heard of it, then you're living under a rock. Go to like Columbus, Ohio, or come down to Nashville now, or go to Kentucky, or I think it started in Louisiana, I think it started in Louisiana, Cane's. But if you haven't been to a Raising Cane's, they're not everywhere. So just saying, you're going to have to find it. You're going to have to go. You might have to go on a road trip. It's called Raising Cane's. The only thing that they serve is chicken fingers, fries, and Texas toast. That's like 3 times as thick as the Texas toast that you're thinking of. And that's all they need to sell. You know why? Because it's fucking amazing. That's why. Because it's fucking amazing. And the most amazing part about it is the secret sauce that they have. And I was talking to one of my buddies a couple days ago, and he's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going to Cane's. And he's like, oh, I've never been there before. He's like, I don't know. I'm skeptical because they don't have enough sauce. I'm like, hold on a second. Bro, you don't need any other sauce than the sauce that they provide. That's why you go there, because of the sauce. So anyway, the best decision I made on that Sunday was I took my ass off the couch and I went over to Cane's, and there was a massive line wrapped around the building for the drive-thru. Go inside, massive line, all these people from Broadway probably the night before doing the same thing I'm doing, getting Cane's, soaking it up. It's what you do if you're smart. So I got a Caniac. It's the biggest box of chicken. It's 6 big strips of chicken. And if you're a seasoned veteran at Cane's, then you know what I'm about to tell you. Okay? But every Cane's, they have like 3 or 4 different things that you can get there. And it all obviously has to do with chicken. It's really all has to do with the number of pieces of chicken that you want in your order. But then they give you a sauce, and depending on how many pieces of chicken you get in your order, you get you get an extra sauce, and then depending on that, maybe you get an extra piece of. Actually, no, all orders only come with 1 piece of toast, but every order comes with a little cup of coleslaw. And if you've ever been to Cane's before, then you know why the fuck do you need coleslaw? Like, there's so many. The chicken, the fries, the toast, the sauce. There's so many other good things you could double up on in that order that you don't need the slaw. So when you order your Cane's, no matter what you're getting, so this is how I order. Hey, Dave, hey, what can I do for you, sir? I would like a Caniac, please. And can you get rid of the coleslaw and give me an extra sauce in its place? Oh, yeah, sure. That's great, sir. We could do that for you. And then also, can you add an extra piece of toast to my order, please? Yeah, sir. Is that all? Will that be all? Yeah. Yeah, and I also would like a sweet tea with that because your sweet tea makes me happy in my pantalones. Oh, yes, sir. Is that it for you? Yeah, that's it. Okay, 16, whatever. We'll call your name. Okay, that's how you do it. You say, I don't want the coleslaw. I would like an extra sauce with my order, please. And you can thank me later. Because I promise you, once you taste the sauce, you're going to just be like, I need more sauce. It's good on the chicken. It's good on the fries. It's good on the toast. It's recommended with all of them. So that's kind of where I'm at. And I'm kind of still in recovery mode. I'm not going to lie. It's Friday. It's Friday right now, and I'm definitely still in recovery mode, but it's CMA Fest time. You got to get down there and you got to check it out. You got to go bump peacocks with the people. There's going to be a lot of notables that are walking around downtown during this weekend, and so that's what I'm going to do. Kelly and I will go down there and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But anyway, that was kind of a long intro to this podcast. We are back Wednesday. It feels good to be back. This is Goose Chasing, brought to you by TAGNBRAG and TAGNBRAG Productions. We are also brought to you by T&B Apparel. Go to our website, tagnbrag.co, to check out our monthly apparel, or the apparel of the month, so to speak, and also our land management. Go check out if you guys are interested in land management and interested in a quote from us. Feel free to just fill out the short pieces of information on the website, and we'll get back to you shortly. Or if you want to get on the books for next year, that's great too. That's great too. This is a solo episode, obviously. Deano is currently riding a tractor in western New York, planting corn and beans, and we are certainly thankful for his services with that. So without interrupting him, he's kind of working against the grain. We got some rain coming in this weekend. I actually was just texting him, and he said there's rain happening as we speak, which is, I guess, kind of a good and a bad thing. But yeah, he's burning fuel on that Mahindra, and he's getting it done. We appreciate that. He is the land manager of the group and the boss when it comes to managing the deer, managing the land, the food plots that go in, the, just general rules that we have up at Camp Cutlet. He's the boss. So, God bless him. The boy knows his stuff, I'll tell you that much. He knows his stuff. But, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't know. We know. It is what it is. Well, I'm getting ready to go. We're all getting ready to go on. Actually, Deano's having 2 bachelor parties. He would. Bougie-ass motherfucker. Just kidding. But number 2 is my dad, Uncle Jay, stepbrother Joe, brother-in-law TJ, Deano, and myself. There's 6 of us. We are going down to Key West and Marathon, and we're going to do some deep-sea fishing. And so we'll have a lot more about that and vlogs about that. We're actually just getting back today. If you're listening to this podcast, we're just getting back into our hometowns today from that trip. Probably a little wounded once again, but we will have some stories to tell, I'm sure, from this trip, and looking forward to telling those. Looking forward to experiencing them first and foremost. And it's been a minute since I've been in the deep sea, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I mean, I do love fishing. I'm not a huge fisherman. I mean, you guys, anybody who's been following along knows, like, I love that bow in my hand. Give me something to chase with that bow in hand, baby, and I'll be there. But yeah, if there is fishing that I, do love to do and that I would continue to do, it's that blue water. Get me in the flats, get me on that blue water, some ocean fishing where you have no idea what is tugging the end of that line. That's good stuff. I like that. I like the unknown. So I'm looking forward to that. But we're on social media this week, and it's funny because I actually had a couple buddies reach out this week in general and asked me similar questions. And so I thought it would be kind of cool to just address that on the podcast, the solo podcast, and kind of address a little bit of my story personally and getting into the hunting industry and a little bit of our journey. And I know we've talked a little bit about this before, but not really on like the production side of things. And that's kind of what pays my bills essentially now, is being a producer and producing a couple different hunting shows. Obviously our own stuff with Tag and Brag on our YouTube channel, Facebook, Instagram, all them, the whole nine. But what's cool is that, you know, other people have kind of seen what we have done and the following that we've created and kind of the energy that we've created around our brand, Tag and Brag, and they've asked us to help them do the same thing, and that's cool. But I mean, long and short of it, the age-old question is, how do I get into the hunting industry? Like, what do I got to do? How do I get there? And it's kind of a loaded question. And I searched for this answer for a very long time when we were first getting Tag and Brag going, because I thought there was one. And I mean, the reality of the situation is there's not a clear-cut answer. You kind of have to ask yourself, what do you want out of the hunting or outdoor industry or that space? What do you want out of being a part of that space? And for me, I wanted to be able to have a name and a face in the hunting industry to promote hunting and get other people involved, because I saw the values that it brought me as a kid. I was lucky enough, and we were lucky enough to grow up in a family that immersed us in the hunting and outdoor culture right from the rip. Like, we were 5, 6 years old. I mean, could barely tie our boots straight, and we were strapping camo on, and we were getting out in the woods. And that's what like built my love for all of this. That's what started it all, and kind of the reason that we're here now. But so for me, that's what it was. Like, it captured me so hard. The hunting side of things captured me so hard, and I grew so passionate about it, especially after watching outdoor TV, like the old Monster Bucks, the old Real Tree road trips. I mean, Drury's had multiple Bow Madness, and I can't remember what some of the other DVDs that they originally had out were, but we would watch the Wild Outdoors, we would watch Primos. I mean, everything. We had, like, literally, if we went into Dick's Sporting Goods when we were younger, instead of going to, like, I mean, I'd go to the baseball section and check out new gloves and new bats and stuff like that, because I loved playing baseball. But before or after that, I would go into the hunting section, and they would always have like a wall of VHSs or DVDs, and you know, we would get, like, pick one and you can get it and we'll go watch it. And it was always packed with like 15 hunts, 17 hunts, 20 hunts, whatever. And I would just watch those hunts, and I would be enamored by the large animals that they would kill. Because growing up and hunting in Western New York, for us, like, we didn't ever see bucks like we did on TV. Like, we literally never saw a buck even close to some of those bucks on TV. So, like, that, it was always a dream in my head to get to a point where I could shoot things like that. And all the while, that wasn't the reason that we were so engulfed and passionate about hunting. We were so passionate about it because of the values that it brought us, because it made us feel like we were part of the boys. We were part of, like, another generation above us before we even got there, before we could really do anything as an adult, drive a car, drive a truck, whatever. Like, we were young kids, and it made us feel like we were far beyond our years. And it also made us realize, at a young age, I think, the value of a life, because all of the deer, all of the anything that we harvested as a family was celebrated. And that was one of the best things about growing up when we did, because it's not that way anymore. I was actually just on another podcast this week talking about growing up as a kid right now, and how it would be so difficult to be a new hunter in the quote unquote hunting industry, or just the hunting community, because there's so much backlash that social media, leaves all these doors open, and people do it themselves. They put themselves out there or whatever, but then, they receive so much hate, or that, people don't agree with the way that they took that animal, or the size, or, of that animal, or how big his rack is, how much it scores, how old he was. It's so crazy to me. There's so many like subcategories that like you feel like you need to hit on in order to be like quote unquote successful in your own hunting world. And that's just, to me, it's not fair, and it would be very difficult. I'm very thankful to grow up in the hunting community that I grew up in, because it just wasn't like that. But that's what got us hooked. And so for me, genuinely, we started documenting our own hunts, like not only for ourselves, but also because I wanted other people to see how we enjoy this sport. I want other people to see that we just enjoy something, and we had the courage to chase it, and they should do the same damn thing. It doesn't have to be hunting. It could be baseball. It could be hockey. It could be cooking. You want to be a chef, like, chase it. We have one life, so chase that dream. But for us, that's why we got into it. So to get back to like, how do you get into the hunting industry? Well, you have to ask yourself, what do you want to do? Do you want to just work for a company, as maybe a marketing specialist or a sales associate or whatever, and you can be in the industry? I mean, there's plenty of companies out there that are looking for help. And you can be an employee, but you can be in the hunting industry and you can get connected. And maybe that's a good place to start, because you got to get a foot in the door. You can't just come to somebody or some company or a brand and say, hey, I film my own shit, and here's a video of me killing a buck, and, sponsor me or give me money or give me product. Or like, nobody's going to listen to that. You have to spend time in the space that you want to pursue in order to make any sort of longevity and career out of it. You have to spend time there. You can't just think you're the shit and I don't know, just be biased on yourself and think, oh, this is going to work, and why doesn't anybody like this? I mean, that's not real life. So for us, we just started putting videos out there. We started a YouTube channel. We were getting like 16 views a video, if that. And we just started putting shit out there. And once we started putting stuff out there, like we just let our authenticity flourish. We just let our authenticity be what drove us. And the thing that I'm the most proud of in our 11 or 12 year journey now is that we haven't wavered on that. We're still the same damn people, and we always will be. That is our core value, our authenticity. Our authenticity is why we're so passionate about what we do. Our authenticity is what drives what attracts other people to us based on our personalities. And it's what we can control. Like, we can't, at the end of the day, we can't control how many big deer we kill. We can We can do our best to put ourselves in the best scenario to give ourselves an opportunity, but that's controlling Mother Nature. You can't control that. You can't. So if you think you're going to go out and shoot more bucks than Lee and Tiffany or the Drurys or any of the big hitter, the heavy hitters in the hunting industry, you're gonna come up short. And if your content is focused on that, like if make or break your content is focused on, I got to kill something, number one, you're going to come up short. Number two, you're going to be frustrated the entire time along the way. And hunting will become a chore for you. It won't be fun anymore. And it did for us. I'm speaking from experience. I'm not bullshitting here. I'm speaking from experience. It got to the point for Dean and I where it had become a chore. It had become not fun because it became something that we weren't necessarily, or we were focused on the wrong things. We were still authentic versions of ourselves, but we weren't having fun doing it. Because that was the focus. We got to kill something to be somebody. No, you don't. No, you don't. You're the same as ever. I'm the same as you. You're the same as me. As a hunter, we are one. And that's how it should be viewed. We're one. We are part of one single, very strong, but also getting very divided community. And the divided part is the unfortunate part. But we are one. There's nobody bigger than the other person. You may have a couple more bucks on your wall than I do. That doesn't make you a bigger or better person than me, and vice versa. I may have a couple bigger bucks than you do, or that's what you think, or whatever, and that's fine. But I'm not going to hang my hat on the trophy wall I got and make that define me as the person that I am. It's just, that's not, at the end of the day, and like the sake of humanity, like that's not that cool. It's just not. But being able to promote something that you're passionate about and getting other people involved and like kind of bringing the doors down for other people to, say this is an okay, safe space to be in, and it's actually a pretty cool space to be in. That's cool. That's something you could hang your head on. That's making a difference. So when we gave up that part of it, like that grasp of like, we have to kill shit. And oh, by the way, we spent probably 3 or 4 years filming, documenting our shit, editing our shit, and literally between Dean and I, not killing a buck. Think about that. And all the while, every one of those years, our views and our following went up. What does that tell you? That tells you that was the light bulb that clicked for us that said we don't need to kill shit to have a name and a voice in this hunting industry. And that sounds so insane, but it's true. It's true. If you're willing to document along the way, think about this. The average Joe hunter goes into the woods. How often does he kill something? It's going to be the same. Couple years maybe. Maybe it's every couple years. Maybe it's every year. Even if it's every year and you got 20 hunts under your belt and you killed something one time, 5%. 5%. So 95% of the time you go out there, you're not killing anything. But I guarantee you this, 100% of the time you go out there, if your mind, your eyes, and your ears are open, you can learn a little something. I can promise you that. So for Dean and I, we took a hard look in the mirror. We were like, we're not killing shit. We're still documenting it all. We're still putting all this work in. We're still producing it all. Why are we not putting it out there? Because during one of our hunts where we don't kill something and we maybe we learned a little something, maybe we didn't, or we just don't care to admit it, why can't somebody else learn something from that same hunt? Why can't somebody else find enjoyment or entertainment in that same hunt? Well, they can, because that's how we grew up. All hunts were fun when we were growing up. All of them. Hunting was fun. So what are we doing here, people? Why are we making it all about that kill? I guess I'll leave that up for interpretation. But from our personal experience, when we took those doors down and we just started documenting and producing and putting out everything that we did in our hunting and outdoor lifestyle, the doors opened for us. People started coming to us saying we want to be involved in that. Because there was no the kills, the big bucks that were shot, those only enhanced even more the views and the following that was already going up. Those only enhanced it. But we were in control of our own destiny. It wasn't like we were trying to outproduce Heartland Bowhunter or Driven TV, or we were trying to shoot more big bucks than Lee and Tiffany or the Drurys. We weren't competing with any of those people anymore. We were just competing with ourselves. And when that happened, things drastically changed. They drastically changed. We realized we were in control of our own destiny, as are you. But getting back to it too, that did take time. And that took, like, for other companies to realize that took years of time to say, these guys got their ass kicked for like 4 years in a row and they're not going anywhere. In fact, their shit's kind of getting better. Why wouldn't you want to be involved with something like that? So you've got to find your niche, or you've got to figure out what you want in that hunting industry, the outdoor industry, and then you've got to go chase it. Are you going to be a public land person that, focuses on that niche, which is a good niche to be in right now? Everybody wants, if you don't shoot a buck on public land, you got the thing handed to you, apparently. So going that route is probably a good route to go right now. Are you going to do, are you going to be a bow hunter? Are you going to be a gun hunter? I mean, you don't have to put yourself in a box, but just understand that you have to figure out what is going to differentiate you from the others, number one. And then just go do it. Go do that. If it's documenting your hunts like we do, then document them. And don't go into the freaking woods without your camera. There is no halfway point. There's no gray area. It's black and white. If you want to be in it, then be in it. Whether you're getting paid or not, be in it. No matter what you do. No matter what. But don't dip your toes in the sand and think that you're going to get results that you actually want to get if it's something that you're extremely passionate about, because it ain't going to happen. You just have to go all in and do it. And if you're filming from the filming your hunts category, it's got to be a full court press effort all the time. There is no wavering. You document everything you do. Once again, if that's what you want to do. It's kind of like the Kobe, the Mamba mentality. You're up at 3 a.m. and you're taking jump shots. Well, you're up at 3 a.m. and you're filming the fucking thing. Because maybe you use it, maybe you don't. But that's part of bringing people along the journey. People like to see the behind-the-scenes shit, so you're always working. I mean, during the hunting season, Dean and I are literally filming by day and editing by night. Nobody produces this shit for us. We do it all ourselves. I mean, from the food plots to the tree stands to the actual hunting to the documenting it all to the filming ourselves to actually editing, producing it, creating thumbnails, getting it up online, the whole 9 yards from start to finish. We control it. But we're controlling our own destiny now. So, and to revert a little bit again, we taught ourselves how to edit. We got to the point where we realized nobody was going to do this for us. Nobody was going to do it for us, certainly in the quality that we knew that it could be. So we had to do it ourselves. So we got on YouTube and we looked up some videos and we picked out a platform and we picked out some software and we started messing around with it. Literally. Didn't go to school for any of this shit. We made a career out of it. That's what's so great about living in America. It's the land of opportunity. That's flying by the wayside too, because people, whatever. We don't have to get on that one. But anyway, you got to find your niche. You got to figure out what, and you don't necessarily have, maybe you don't have to answer that right now, but maybe you just start documenting stuff and see where it can take you. And kind of, maybe that just kind of carves your own way. But another one of my buddies asked, how do I go from, they're in the hunting industry. They work with companies. They get paid a little bit here and there. They get product, whatever. But he basically asked me, how do I make more money? How do I make more money in this hunting industry? And that, once again, I searched long and hard for that answer to that question for a very long time. And the unfortunate answer is that there is no, once again, there's no right or wrong answer. First things first, you have to have the courage to ask. Because I can promise you this, there's so many other people out there that are working for nothing. There's so many other people out there that are selling their souls for a 30% discount and maybe a hat. And that's not knocking anybody, but at the end of the day, you have to have value for yourself. Otherwise, nobody's going to have value for you. That's just brutally honest. If you don't value yourself and your own work, then why would anybody else value it? They won't. So you have to have the courage to ask, and you have to have something to ask for. You have to give them what are they going to pay you for? Is it just social media posts? And maybe it is, and that's fine. Is your social media do you have a social media following that warrants you asking for money or asking for free stuff? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Do you have a niche quality or value that kind of sets you apart? Like, what if you're good at creating social media campaigns? Like advertising campaigns for companies. There you go. If you can video stuff and create the campaigns for them, and you take that completely off of that specific company's plate, or you can add that value to them, put a price tag on it and sell it. See what happens. Make somebody tell you no. That is probably one of the hardest things that I've struggled with in our tag and brag journey. I hate asking for things. I hate it. It sucks. I hate asking. I hate needing, feeling like I need things. But it's the reality of this. Like, we're trying to create a career here. We're trying to do what we love. And if you create something, or if you have qualities and values that other people can utilize for their own company or their own goods, services, whatever, then use it. It's no different than somebody that, an auto mechanic. He can wrench on some engines and get them fired back up again. I don't have that quality, but he does. If my truck is fucked up, I'm going to pay him to do it. It's no different. There's companies out there that need social presence, online presence, video production skill, photo production skill. There's companies all over that need that. It's just about seeking them out, and then once again, not having the courage to ask. but you also have to have something to sell. Be able to show them something. Go take pictures of, you and your gear, or your, like, be able to show them a sample of something to be, so that they can know and understand that you're for real, that you're not just throwing darts and hoping that somebody catches it and gives you an opportunity, because that's probably far-fetched as well. But if you do have something of value, you'll find your way. And then it's about building relationships and building trust. Trust may be given, respect is earned, not given. You got to earn that respect from these people that are going to be cutting the check. So it may take to get your foot in the door somewhere. It may take, say, hey, I'll do this let me do this little project for free for you. And you guys can take it or leave it, or, assess it from there. But to get your foot in the door, it may take offering that. And then you obviously have to work up from there. It's no different than what we've done. Like I said, we created TAGNBRAG. Our following started to grow. It started to flourish. We were happy. We had partners. I hate the word sponsor, by the way. Just annoying. I feel like a charity event. So we say partners here because to us, we value the relationships that we build, and it is a true partnership in our eyes. That's why we don't work with 30 different companies. We're working with like 12 right now. And all products that we will use regardless, because we can implement them. We don't need to implement them, I should say, into our naturally documented hunting journey. They're already implemented. It's already stuff that we utilize. And so it's easy. It's a true partnership that way. But you've got to be able to build that trust and that respect. So we started growing our TAGNBRAG following, and all of a sudden, not only did we have a couple partners on board that were paying us, but now we have people that are knocking on our door that want us to produce their show. And that's crazy. Like, to me, that was crazy. 5 years ago, Ben Rising came to us and he said, I want you guys to help produce Whitetail Edge. And he's an Ohio boy. We were living a couple hours north of him in Ohio, but Dean and I literally grew up watching Ben on juries. Grew up watching Ben. And we resonated with him, outside of Mark and Terry, but we resonated with him the most because he was from Ohio. And so now this dude that we watched growing up is asking us to produce his show. And it was really solely based on how we produced and how we put ourselves out there. That's fucking insane. That's insane. Like, that is the dream. That's the dream. So we started doing that. And there was bumps in the road, but we ended up producing Whitetail Edge for 4 straight years. And I can say every single year that show, the numbers grew on that show. And it got better and better every single year. And to this, this is our first year not producing it, but us and Ben were still great friends. He's like an uncle. It's like a brother, an older brother. And the knowledge that we've indirectly gotten just in the whitetail world, like as a hunter, outside of the business side of things, is undescribable. Just from producing his show and being around him, you soak it up, and naturally in conversation, you soak all that up. But it came to the point where, your value, the value of your time gets greater. It goes up. It's like working up the corporate ladder, but you're running your own business, but the value of your time goes up and up. And so we've now shifted to where we're working with Jeb and Ward Burton, NASCAR drivers. NASCAR. And producing a show on the Sportsman's Channel. Once again, this all came from what we've done with TAGNBRAG. They have Rocky as one of their sponsor partners. Rocky is our main partner, and that's how we got connected. But Jeb came to us and said, have you ever produced a TV show before? And you know what I said? No. And he said, do you want to try? And I'm like, this is fucking crazy. Like all this happened because of us just having the courage to chase what we love to do. So I guess my point with all of this is it kind of gets back to that question of how do I make money? Well, you make money first by you got to start asking. You got to prove yourself first. You got to have something to sell. But then you have to start asking. You have to have the courage to ask. And then based on that, you keep working hard and your time becomes more valuable. Naturally, it becomes more valuable. And so maybe it's that same opportunity that you in that is just paying you a little bit more, or maybe it's another opportunity that is going to give you more responsibilities and in turn pay you more. Either way, you're working your way up, but it starts with asking. And there's so much more I know that's kind of, it's a little bit vague, but it's not. The idea is not. It's chasing something that you love to do and putting your blood, sweat, and tears into it, which isn't really that hard if it's something that you love to do. And then going out and trying to make connections in that field, in that industry, and using that to your advantage to then start charging for your time, because everybody's time is valuable. Nobody should have to work for free, although it may have to get working for nothing, which isn't necessarily working for nothing because it's just an investment into you seeing that this could turn into something in the future. That's what it is. You shouldn't have to work for free forever, but it may have to start that way just so you can get your foot in the door and prove yourself to somebody. And that's it. Pretty simple. No, but I mean, those are the age-old questions. I think anybody that hunts, that fishes, that, does something that they love, wants to get into that space, wants to make it a career, wants to make it a reality for them. Certainly, I don't want to say that there's not a lot of money in the hunting world, because there is. There is. You just got to figure out where it is, and you got to figure out how to make it. There's not a lot when you're just starting out, that's for sure. There's not. But if you start out and you start building it brick by brick by brick, you get to a certain point where your time is valuable enough to say, hey, this is what I want. And it may lead you to another industry. It may lead you, or to another like adjacent industry or something like that. You just have no idea. Like I said, we're producing a show now for the Crossroads with the Burtons. It's Ward and Jeb Burton. Ward, I stay at both of their houses. I've been around them for a year and a half or so now. Like, Ward won the Daytona 500 in 2002. The Daytona 500, arguably the biggest race. Well, it's the biggest race in NASCAR, but arguably the biggest race in all of racing. Maybe the Indy 500 is a little bit bigger. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking out of my ass. I don't know. Either way, I'm standing next to the friggin' trophy. Like, that all came from chasing a dream. That's what that all came from. I don't have any special skills that y'all don't have in order to make that happen. It's just the courage. It's the courage and the trust in yourself that if I chase this, something good's going to come out of it. And for me, I wasn't just chasing it, and I'm still not just chasing it for me, but I'm chasing it for all you guys too. I'm trying to prove that, like, this shit can happen, and you could do it too. It doesn't, once going back to it, it doesn't have to just be in hunting. It's whatever it is. Inspire somebody else to do what they love to do. And if they take action, the world is a little bit of a better place. That's what's up. But, yeah, I mean, I think that was, those were some good kind of topics to cover. I guess there's a lot more that goes into it. There's a lot more that, we could talk about here, and maybe you guys will have more questions or comments based on this podcast alone. But based on those 2 questions from a couple of my buddies in and out of the hunting industry, that's it. That's what I got to say. It's not easy. It's not. Asking for money, not easy. Making this a business, making something that you're passionate about a business, not easy. You get you'll have times where you get walked all over. Trust me, this has not been a smooth road for us. And for all the good relationships that we've built, for the now 12 solid relationships that we've built, there's another 12 at least that have gone by the wayside, and that we've realized that, we're just not working with the right people. Our values don't align, and that's okay too. You got to learn the hard way sometimes. But it's certainly not all easy. It's certainly not all glamorous. It's difficult, to balance your family time, your partner time, your friends time for you, and trying to do something that you love and grow something into a career. There's a lot of balance and a lot of sacrifices that have to be made to make that happen. But at the end of the day, you just have to know in your heart that it's something that you truly, truly want to chase. You can't be afraid to fail, because you're gonna. In fact, some of the best times that we've had have come from some of our failures. And so, just case in point, we've had a couple contracts go by the wayside recently, and I'm not really that hard pressed about it. It's a bummer. It's a bummer. You thought people were different than they actually are. You thought you were building some sort of a relationship, and you weren't. But I also know when one door closes, another one's going to open. I trust that anyway. And so when it's happened to us so much, I think that now I just trust that it's part of the path. It's part of the journey. And you just, whether another door opens or not, you just trust that maybe that was pulling you in a direction that was taken away from something else. Maybe it was taking too much of your time and energy, and that time and energy can be focused on something else. It's all perception and how you look at it. But this was a good discussion today. I appreciate y'all joining us once again on this here podcast, Goose Chasing. I'm just thinking of Deano right now on that tractor, burning that fuel, putting out that fertilizer, putting corn and beans in the ground. And I wish I was up there doing it with him. But I'm going to see him in a couple short days on the water. And as we get home, you guys will be able to see the madness unfold on the blue water as we go on a fishing trip. And we'll have that live on our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all the good jazz. So if you don't subscribe already to our YouTube channel, please go to subscribe at TAGNBRAG. Follow us on Instagram at Team TAGNBRAG, TAGNBRAG on Facebook and TikTok. and subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts at. We're in all the places. But we appreciate you guys. You guys are part of this dream that has come true. And everybody that watches and listens and gives us the time of day is part of that. And from the bottom of my heart, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you. I appreciate your time, your energy. So thank you. You're part of making this dream come true. And I hope all the good things for you as well. That's a good place to end. Hope you guys are having a fantastic Wednesday or whenever you're listening to this podcast. But make sure the next Wednesday that is coming, get right back here and join us on Goose Chasing. Y'all have a fantastic week. Peace.